This video will show you how to weigh out carbonates for carbon and oxygen isotope analysis by gas bench isotope ratio mass spectrometry. Other videos on our channel will show you when you would want to use this type of analysis and procedures for preparing sample powders. This project was supported in part by award number 2014-DN-BX-K002, funded by the National Institute of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, United States Department of Justice. The opinions, findings, and conclusions or recommendations expressed in this video are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect those of the Department of Justice. This video will cover supplies and how to weigh out samples for analysis. For questions, comments, or corrections, please email metal_asu@asu.edu. Note that this is not the only protocol for this type of analysis, and depending on your sample type, instrumentation, facilities, resources, and scientific questions, other methods may be more appropriate. Supplies needed for this video: prepared sample powders, certified carbonate isotope standards, matrix-matched carbonate isotope check standards such as bones, enamel, or speleothems, depending on sample type, glass vials, vial tops with septa, tin foil discs, microbalance. I will include links for the catalog numbers used in the video description below, but this does not represent a product endorsement by the Metal Lab, Arizona State University, or the Department of Justice. Before starting, clean everything to get rid of dust. I use methanol and Kim wipes to wipe down the weighing table, an aluminum block that holds my spatula and tweezers, 2 dull-pointed tweezers, and a metal spatula with a stiff wire on one end. Clean everything thoroughly to prevent contamination. You'll also need to do this between each sample. Be sure not to use ethanol, as this could cause an interference on carbon dioxide during analysis. Here's a picture of the tin foil discs that we use. There are other methods that can be used, including tin cups, depending on the practices of your lab. Note that we can't weigh sample directly into the glass tubes because the microbalance has a relatively low maximum mass it can weigh. In our case, it is 2.1 grams. The glass vial weighs far more than this, so we need to weigh out sample on something else and then transfer it to the glass vial. You can see the discs have a shiny side and a duller side. You want to load the sample onto the shiny side because the powder will adhere less to the tin. One of the biggest challenges with dealing with the discs is separating the discs from one another. Here's a close-up where you can see that a number of discs are attached to one another. It takes a little patience and the help of 2 dull tweezers, but you want to separate them so you have a single disc. You'll know you have a single disc when you weigh the disc because they have a very consistent starting weight. Sometimes you can't tell there are multiple discs until you start folding them, but you can just separate them whenever you realize there is more than one. To form the scoop for your sample, I fold the 2 sides so they're 90 degrees from the bottom. Holding one of the sides, I then fold one end up sharply at 90 degrees. There is then one open side that will fit nicely in the mouth of the glass vial. Here I'll show how I fold the scoop again. Once I have my scoop, I place it on the microbalance and tare it. This will allow me to have an accurate estimate of the amount of sample when I start adding it to the scoop. The next step is to prepare the sample. At this point, your sample should have been mechanically cleaned, chemically cleaned, powdered, gone through organic removal and diagenetic carbonate removal in the case of bones. After all that preparation, the powdered sample is often a clump at the bottom of the microcentrifuge tube. First, I'm going to take a stiff wire at the end of my spatula and try to break up the clump at the bottom of the tube. I'm then going to tap the sample out onto a piece of clean, folded whey paper and use the convex side of the scoop to break up the clumps further. We need a fine, even grain size for a homogenized sample. This will ensure that the phosphoric acid will react similarly to all samples and standards and will get more reproducible data. In pretty much every process, I wear gloves. However, when dealing with very small amounts of non-toxic carbonate, I may not wear gloves because the static causes too much sample loss and inaccuracy during weighing. It's invaluable to have a controlled environment with monitored humidity, a very stable weighing table, and ideally an anti-static gun or unit. If you have lots of sample, you could do this powdering in a mortar and pestle. However, for this particular project, we are very sample limited, so I'm going to be powdering in the whey paper to minimize sample loss. You want to be careful and avoid including any paper or Kim wipe in your sample because most papers use calcium carbonate as a sizing agent to stiffen the paper and sometimes to whiten it as well. We really don't want paper calcium carbonate in our sample as contamination, so try not to grind your sample really hard onto the whey paper. I use the tweezers to tap the sides of the whey paper to get it all to collect in the crease. I'm then going to push all the powder into a little pile so it'll be easy to scoop. Here's a picture of what the pile of powder should look like. I'll now start using the concave side of the spatula to scoop up the powder into the tin scoop. I may tap it to the back of the scoop so it doesn't fall out. Here's an image of what it should look like. I then weigh the scoop and sample. If I have too much sample, I'll tap some out. If I don't have enough, I'll add a bit more until it's to the desired weight. I then tare or zero out the microbalance with the scoop plus sample on the balance pan. This will allow me to know exactly how much sample I transfer into the glass tube. If your scoop is properly made, it will fit into the mouth of the glass vial and the sample should slide right off. You want it all to get into the vial so you'll know precisely how much sample has been added. Weigh the scoop empty and you should get a negative value close to how much sample you originally added to the scoop. This is the amount that went into the glass vial, as long as you didn't spill. If the tin scoop falls into the glass vial, not ideal, but it does happen, use the stiff wire on the spatula to fish it out carefully. All this work, and now you've weighed one sample. There are additional videos on our channel illustrating the process of adding phosphoric acid to liberate carbon dioxide from your sample, running the gas bench, IRMS, and doing data reduction. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and help others to find our content. If you want other topics covered, please leave us a comment. For additional questions, please leave a comment or email us at metal_asu@asu.edu. Thanks for watching.